Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by making some preliminary remarks. Firstly, when we talk about undermining parliamentary democracy, we're not just talking about Parliament. We're talking about all our institutions of democracy. So if anyone undermines by violent means or whatever it is, an institution which is part of our democracy, in my view, that would also be covered under Section 124B. I was investigated under Section 124C, which is the attempt provision, okay? So I was investigated, I haven't been charged yet, for attempting to undermine parliamentary democracy. So we'll have to wait and see whether that charge whether they pursue that charge. Now, Gobind mentioned Mandip's case, which is where people were at a press conference and the police said that in itself amounts to a 124B offense. Now, Mandip was charged with that, but Mandip was not even at the press conference. So unless he does astral traveling and in spirit was there and they saw him there, you know, there is no way an offense was even possible against Mandip. And I know from Surendran, who did his remand at the hearing, said to the magistrate who did gave the 7 days, or Mandip got 5 days, I think. You know, he wasn't even there. But he made the order and he said, no, I've already made it. I've already made the order and I can't do anything about it. For someone who wasn't even there and who's being investigated for a charge of being present at a press conference. So, sorry, even if you're present in spirit, you may be in trouble. Now, I want to read for you something that I was that actually said a lot for me, and this is by an ex-soldier. And this is what he says: having been a member of the armed forces and having served towards the final days of the Indonesian confrontation, the full brunt of the communist insurgency, and have seen service with the UN on peacekeeping duties in war-torn Cambodia, I just cannot hold back my anger to witness this beloved country of mine that I had placed my life as a soldier defending be mercilessly mowed down by thieves, liars, and even alleged murderers, masking themselves as honorable politicians. The more I read about what appears to be to my beloved country gasping for breath in the face of eventual death, I flinch in fear that all the sacrifices that we, the members of the armed forces, had contributed in the past to make this country safe so that it could prosper for the good of its people is being mismanaged at the hands of unscrupulous, thieving, corrupt, and lying politicians. Now, I don't think we can put it any better if you wanted to describe what was happening in this country today. So the reason I mention that is because what seems to be happening now is that people who did their jobs or are doing their jobs are the ones who are being attacked. And this comes back to the question that YB Lim Kit Siang and Gobind were asking, who really is responsible for undermining parliamentary democracy in our country? For example, take the MACC officers, the Bank Negara officers, the Attorney General. These are all institutions which are vital in a democracy. Institutions that must be independent, and institutions that were doing their job. Look at the PAC, if you want to talk about Parliament. What did they do to the PAC? They have made it pointless. Nothing's going to happen till October. And the speaker or someone said, Prime Minister should have a say in who should be appointed as the next PAC chairman. This is in an investigation that involves the Prime Minister. So, who really is undermining all that is vital in a democracy? If you notice in our country, our ministers have a difficulty understanding conflict of interest. Have you noticed that? They don't understand it. Okay? So maybe somebody should define it for them. They don't understand that when there's an investigation against them, they cannot interfere in whoever is carrying out that investigation. Simple, right? Simple, right? It happens even in ordinary life. Say school or in a domestic inquiry where employee is dismissed. Everybody knows these are called rules of natural justice. These are called ordinary rules that you must adhere to, particularly when you are in positions of power. You do not interfere with any investigation that may involve you. In fact, you step aside. You step aside. Is that what's happening in our country? No. So who's undermining parliamentary democracy? It is the people who are acting in conflict of interest. Yesterday or day before yesterday, Malaysia Kini reported contract allegedly for the brother of the Deputy Prime Minister. And no answer, no real answer yet. The only answer from the Deputy Prime Minister was, I haven't spoken to my brother yet. All right. So we give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe when he speaks to him, it'll dawn on him, this is a conflict of interest. The brother says, why shouldn't I? You want me to be poor? Standard answer. I've heard this before. Why shouldn't we? We are competent. We are openly, we're going for the contract. Why shouldn't we? That's our business. You don't want us to make money? Sorry. No one says you cannot make money. But when you have a relative in power, you stay thousands of miles away from him when it comes to contracts. You cannot benefit from the position of a family member. Same thing happened with the NFC and so on. You know, there's so much of it. What they call cronyism is actually a violation of the basic principle about conflict of interest. So I think actually they should all go back to school and learn about conflict of interest and understand it. So like this ex-soldier said, can you stand by, can you keep quiet when this country that you have defended, that he laid down his life to defend, should he keep quiet? Should any of us keep quiet? In fact, I would say we have a duty to speak. And what are we asking for? Tell us how you spend our money. Something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with it? They're supposed to account for it even without our asking. That's what their job is. And yet you get this whole thing about donation, you know, brotherly donation, and I wish I had such a rich brother. But anyway, or a rich friend, okay? Or friendly party or whatever it is, who would give me 2.4 billion into my personal account. 2.16, sorry. I got it wrong. I apologize. You're absolutely right. It's 2.6 billion. Let's not lose any numbers there, okay? What we know is it's got so many zeros, I don't even... Do you know how many zeros it is? Do you know how many zeros it is? I've lost count how much billion, how many zeros there are in billion. That's how much money you're talking about. So, then they come up with this story that it's a donation. And they went on and on about donation for a long time until the penny dropped. Even a donation, in fact it's worse. In my opinion, legal opinion, I may be wrong, but under the MACC Act, donation is covered under the definition of gratification. and there is a presumption for certain offences under that, which would be a relevant offence here, Section 17, I believe. There is a presumption of corruption, which means the person holding the money has to displace that presumption, which means you have to have an explanation, you have to say where it came from, etc., etc. That's only one legislation. You have the Anti-Money Laundering Act. You have so many pieces of legislation that could have been infringed. So, what everybody is asking is questions about this. And they are also saying to the Prime Minister, look, you need to answer these questions. And I can't believe the Prime Minister is hanging on to Ministry of Finance when every allegation against him is in relation to finance, financial scandals. How can the Cabinet allow him to continue as Minister of Finance? And that's my quarrel with our ministers, actually. Look at the explanations you're getting, as if we are stupid. Maybe it's not meant for us. Maybe it is meant for people they feel may believe them, people who live in the rural areas. Well, I have news for them. They're not stupid either. In fact, everyone has seen through the ridiculous explanations that we get. And quite frankly, I think one of the worst ways in which you undermine parliamentary democracy is by giving stupid answers in Parliament and being stupid in your explanations. Because we deserve much better than that. They forget that they have a duty to be honest with us. So, I wanted to also talk about the former Attorney General, Tan Sri Abu Talib. He came up with an interesting interview. He said that all these attacks on MACC, BNM and so on and so forth can actually constitute an offence under Section 186 of the Penal Code. Let me read that to you. And I didn't know about that until he mentioned it. 186 says, whoever voluntarily obstructs any public servant in the discharge of his public functions shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 2 years or with fine, etc., etc. So he says, what happened to MACC, etc., is prima facie a case of obstruction under the Penal Code. And he said he thinks the Attorney General should take action. Do you agree? Because what you're doing there is it is a frontal attack on very important institutions in this country. Now, we have our quarrels with MACC, and we will never forget what happened to Teo Beng Hock. Ever. That is something they need to answer for still. We will not forget that. But the people who were hassled and intimidated in MACC were honest officers who were doing their duty. And I say kudos to them for standing up. Kudos to them. Dato Shukri said, take me instead of taking, as what YB Lim Kit Siang said. All it needed was a few good people to stand up, and they backed off. And the support shown to them by the public, that really helped, and they backed off. Now, why am I talking about all this? I'm talking about all this because we need to understand that these are questions we are entitled to ask. And we must stand up when we see these institutions being attacked. Because as far as I'm concerned, all those are offences committed by the authorities under 124B as well. Because they have interfered with institutions of democracy in this country. Now, of course, we don't want to talk about one. We don't want it at all right? I'm not suggesting that they should be charged, but we don't want those sections at all. Where did they get, I remember thinking, where in heaven's name did they get this provision from? They say they got it from England, all right? This is where they got it from. It came from the Security Services Act 1989. This is what was said in Parliament, I believe. I believe so. And this is what that section says. Security Service. The function of the service shall be the protection of national security, and in particular its protection against threats from espionage, terrorism and sabotage, from the activities of agents of foreign powers, and from actions intended to overthrow or undermine parliamentary democracy by political, industrial or violent means. So that section was not creating a criminal offense in the UK. It was only describing what were the functions of the security service in that country. And this is one of them. In other words, to protect against foreign powers and other activities that would undermine parliamentary democracy. It was not creating an offense against the people of the country. So when they relied on it, they should have been more honest. They should have said that relates to security, but we are going to, bring it into our penal code and use it against our people. Have you noticed how they keep creating provision after provision after provision? It's as if they have declared war on the people of Malaysia. They want to shut everybody up, restrict your space, and that's really why. Why are they so afraid of all of us? I don't get it, actually. I don't get it. If they were not doing anything wrong, they have nothing to fear from us. They have absolutely nothing to fear from us. And when you look at the people who have been charged, look at Mandip, look at Adam Adli, and look at all these people. Why are they so afraid of them? Because they dare to stand up. That's why. They don't want anyone to stand up. And that is why we must never allow them to stop us from speaking up. Now, Gandhi said, I don't know if you recall, one of the famous Gandhi trial, where he was charged for sedition, for creating disaffection against the government. He said that he was proud to be charged with that because he said some of the most loved of India's patriots were charged under it. So, I was charged with lesser charge like 124C, but I'm proud to be there because I am with patriots. I'm less of a patriot maybe, but I'm with the patriots of this country. And history will show that it is these people who are charged under ridiculous offenses like this who are the real heroes of this country. Gandhi also said this. He said, I hold it to be a virtue to be disaffected towards a government which in its totality has done more harm to India than any previous system. And that is how we feel. That is how this ex-soldier feels. I won't give you his position, but it was pretty high. That's how he feels. I fought for this country, I spilled blood. And I cannot stand by and watch what they're doing to it. Do you all feel the same way? Because I do. I can't bear what they're doing to this wonderful country of ours. How dare they? And then when we criticize them, they want to shut us down. It's not going to work. That's the message we should give them loud and clear. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have only one more message because I'm scared of Mandip. If I forget, he may not let me out of this room. This is about Bersih 4 and the importance of Bersih 4. I think Bersih 4 is one of the most, I can do a picture for Bersih 4 is one of the most important rallies that we are ever going to see in this country. Because it is not just about free and fair elections, it's about our entire system of democracy. And I urge you all don't be scared, by the way. I mean, please come out there. The bigger the numbers, the less chances that there's going to be any strange things happening. Because there's unity in numbers. There's strength in numbers, rather. So please come out. It's peaceful, and I can tell you it is a most empowering experience. If anybody hasn't been to a Bersih rally, I'm telling you, you are really missing something, because you truly walk with the Rakyat. In fact, I think everyone from the government should come as well. And I think they should come, members of parliament, all members of parliament should come, because they must appreciate and understand what it is like to walk with your people. Because right now, there seems to be a great disconnect between the government and the people of Malaysia. So I ask them, come down and build the bridges with your people. Come to Bersih 4. Now, tomorrow, there is a launch for Bersih 4 at 8 o'clock. Please come and show your support. The 5 tuntutan of Bersih is 1, bersihkan pilihan raya, 2, kerajaan bersih, 3, hak membantah, 4, kukuhkan demokrasi parlimen, and 5, selamatkan ekonomi Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, hidup rakyat. Thank you very much.